Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Woodgrain Winter, which I'm combining with a some assemblage required video, which means I'm going to be using some products out of MK's shop over at someassemblagerequired.com. And I am starting out with this beautiful paper from the 49 in Market Christmas Spectacular collection. I'm going to be using a bunch of products from that collection for the first bunch of days for Woodgrain Winter, and then I'm going to switch over and do some winter themed layouts that are not necessarily Christmas. They're going to be like snow stuff, but today is all about Christmas, and I am using vintage photos from 1975, and I really loved this paper. The watercolor holly on it just spoke to me, so I went ahead and fussy cut that out. And I really liked it on the brown wood grain here with this red strip, but then thought it needed something to help it pop. So I am going to open up a jar of heavy white gesso from Finnabair, which is a Prima product, I believe. Yeah, it's Prima. And I'm using white, and I'm going to go ahead and start daubing it on to my background, but I'm going to end up switching over to a paintbrush. So before I do that, I am just going to back my photos with some white photo mats here just to make them pop off of this dark color. And it's a little bit hard to see where I put my pencil marks, so my photos don't end up arranged the exact same way that I have them arranged here, which is okay. But I'm going to go ahead and start going with this white gesso. I like using a dauber most of the time, and I find that it's really useful, but on this really dark paper, I could see too many of the circular lines, and rubbing it was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of taking it off almost, if you will. And so I decided to switch over to a paintbrush and to do some dry brushing on. And I like that also because then the paintbrush strokes kind of blend in with the wood grain, and I like that better anyway. But using the dauber works great on a lot of projects. It just wasn't working on this one. So, you know, it's okay to totally switch up the process and do what works for you. So I also like this because it almost looks like a really heavy whitewash. I don't get full coverage, which is totally okay. I don't need full coverage. I just wanted to brighten it up a bit. And the wood grain there, I know it is a fall collection. I think it's a Simple Stories, but I could be totally wrong on that. But I really liked the depth of color in it. It's very warm and very rich. So that was one of the reasons that I chose it. And then I am going to also do a little bit in the bottom right hand corner after I remove that branding strip. I'm not going to go really heavy or really far in from the bottom corner. It's just going to be a little bit. I do realize I'm covering up quite a bit in this upper left hand area, but that's okay. I kind of wanted it to kind of fade down with almost a bit of a diagonal design there. So it was the look I was going for, and it worked out really well. If you want really good coverage, I would suggest letting the whole thing dry and then going over it with a second coat. But I didn't necessarily need full coverage. I just wanted some coverage. So once I get this bottom corner done, I am going to play with stamping on it. I don't know that I left this in the video. I tried stamping some holly on to the back, directly to the background, and I didn't end up liking the way that it came out. So the beauty of gesso is it creates that barrier between the paper and what is going on top with whatever medium you're going to apply, and it allows me to just actually wipe it all off with a baby wipe for the most part. There is a little bit of staining from the red, but for the most part, I'm able to just wipe everything off with a baby wipe. And that made me happy because then I kind of went in a totally different direction. And I know my stamping looks like a hot mess there, um, which is totally okay. Probably one of the reasons I didn't like it. I just couldn't get the colors to, I don't know. It just was not working for me. And I don't know if it's because I'm on top of the gesso or what. It just was not working for me. So I don't mind that there's still a little bit of red on the layout. Most of that's going to get covered up anyway with the uh, paint that I'm putting on here. So what I did was I went to my Catherine Pooler inks. I pulled out the spruce, and I think I'm using eucalyptus. It's off to the right hand side over there. And I might be using a little martini as well. They're just 3 different shades of green. And so I am just kind of brushing that over to kind of make my white a little bit kind of greenish, if you will. And so then I'm going to take some texture paste and I'm going to go over everything that I've already done, but my texture paste that I'm using is clear. I know it looks white right now, and that's because it's wet, but it is clear, and when it dries on top of the brown, you can't see it very well. It's still there. I see it on my, in real life, but you don't see it so much on camera. But you're still going to be able to see it with over the white because the texture paste seemed to soak up some of that color that I laid down. And so all of those, all of the spots that I put the texture paste in have more of a greenish look to them than the rest of the spots. Now I did use those same stamps, and those were some penny black stamps I've had in my stash for ages, and I used them just on some white paper, and so that is what I have tucked. You can see a couple of them over by the train tracks on my desk. I've tucked some of those leaves in underneath the portion that I fussy cut out, and I'm really liking how that looks, so that's what I end up doing. And then I'm playing with these wood veneer pieces from MK's shop. I really love the train track. It all a bunch of the train track came together in one package, and then there's this long train that has like an engine and 3 cars, and then there are some which looks more like a children's toy train, and then there are some more realistic train pieces on my desk. Those are all from one pack, so I've got 3 different packs there. And then this heart that has the trees in it, that is actually from the advent calendar. It's from day 3 of the advent calendar that she put out. I love that piece so much that I'm using it on here with the title Our Tree, because in the photo we are decorating the tree, and then my brother is looking under the tree at the train that we used to have under our tree. Now I don't know if he's actually setting it up or if he's just looking at it. I don't I was not I'm not old enough, or I was too young to remember that. I'm just going by what's in the photo. So but he is definitely down there with the train, and so I thought this was the perfect layout to use some of those train pieces. I'm going to be using the half circle of the track there, and then I'm going to use one of the more realistic looking engines, although it's not going to be the one that is on the photo there. It's going to be the one that you see closest to the layout on the left hand side. It's a little bit of a longer train, and so, or a longer engine, and so I really like that one, and that's what I'm going to end up using. And then I just used some foam to pop up the top layer of the paper that I fussy cut, and then underneath I am tucking in some of the leaves that I stamped just to give a little added dimension. And I really like how that's looking. I also ended up using a couple of those pieces in the bottom right hand corner, and then they're going to be near my photos where that train track is going to connect the photos. And I think using the stamps was a wise choice, using them in this manner, because it allowed me to kind of stretch things across the page, because I didn't have a whole lot of those holly leaves in the collection. There are a lot of holly leaves, but they're not that watercolory look, and that was the look I was going for, and so stamping them allowed me to go ahead and get that look. Now I am using this rub-on that says Our Tree. I think that's super cute. I'm kind of tucking the O into the curvature of the holly leaves there. I kind of wish I would have left it a little bit more towards the right and not tucked in quite so much, because you're going to see I end up with a little bit of gap between my photos. I have to kind of correct that with another rub on. And I wouldn't have had to do that if I had left it a little bit more right justified, although I was trying to keep it more on the white so that it's a little more legible than if it was over on top of the brown. So that was the main reason I left it towards, I keep saying, yeah, that's one of the reasons I left it more left than right. So now I have this gap, and yes, now my photos are not in the same arrangement that they originally were, and that's totally okay. And I will end up using a different rub-on to connect our tree to my photos. I did actually break this wood veneer, so if you got the advent calendar and you haven't used it, be very careful with this one. It's super delicate. The nice thing about the wood veneer, though, is that it didn't completely break, it just cracked. And once you put it down, you can't even tell. And it is adhesive backed, so putting it back together is not even a big deal. But it is very delicate. And I just loved it because it has the trees inside the heart. And I don't know, I just thought it was perfect for these photos. So that one photo in the middle has a lot of blank space at the bottom. It's just the carpet. And so I don't mind covering that up. I'm also trying to be very conscientious that these are original old vintage photos, and so I'm trying not to put a whole lot on top of them. And in the cases where there are things overlapping, I'm trying to use a very minimal amount of adhesive. Most of the adhesive is on the pieces that are not overlapping, so that if for whatever reason I need to go and pull them off for any particular reason, I can. I did not scan these. These are so old, they have a texture to them and they just don't scan well. I also tried photographing them, and the lighting gets picked up by the texture, and it just doesn't work very well. And I've tried multiple avenues of trying to duplicate them. So if you know of a way to duplicate these type of old photos, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to be able to duplicate them, or at least have a digital copy. But in this case, I am just using the originals because that's what I have, and the scans just did not work. I am using a little bit of Dina Wakley Media Gloss, and I am sprinkling that over my mixed media, and I really like how that looks. And now I'm super happy with the way my train came out with the train track. I think that's just a really cute embellishment. MK really knocked it out of the park with this wood veneer. This little heart piece is actually not from MK. I have a bunch of wood hearts in my stash, and so those came from my stash. But the heart with the trees and the train track and the train are all from her shop, and they were just perfect for this layout. So thank you, MK, for that. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys have questions or comments, let me know. There is a playlist down below for Woodgrain and Winter, so you can go and check out everyone else who's playing along if you are interested in that. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back on Wednesday with another video, so I will see you then. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.